There's a 77 Trans Am hidden up in this shed, and if we're ever gonna get it put back together, we need to get busy sanding and painting. So here we go with that. Okay, this is why I had to strip the primer off of this fender. Got rust blisters coming through, so I'll be stripping it down and painting it with 415. Okay, got a lot of stuff going on here. Got the POR 15 on this rusty fender, and it's still, well, it's dry, but it's not completely cured. I might have to scuff it up before I go ahead and put primer over that, and then we can get it blocked out. And I evened up my gap on this door. I've got a little fiberglass and then a skim coat of the spot putty, and it's pretty close. Got a little spots here and there I got to fill in, and I'll shoot primer on it whenever I paint this fender with primer. And over here on the back I got this glazing compound on here. Got to get that DA'd down and then use the flexible block to block it out. And I think next weekend I'm gonna paint the roof and the deck lid with the primer sealer, and then coats of sandable primer over that. And I got to get more primer on this rear one and over here where I realign the door, get that all blocked out. And also I've been working on little fine details on the fender flares. Had to do a little bit of rearranging where it was warped and twisted, and I got some fiberglass in there and kind of evened it up. And I gotta get those sanded down and get some more primer on it. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't get a bunch of sanding and primering done. found another dent right here. When you run your hand down it, you can feel it right there. So let's get this one fixed. Okay, I got my dent up here filled in and blocked out, and I got a bunch of primer mixed up, and I'm gonna go around and reshoot this area, and come around here and put a few initial coats on this, and I'm gonna spray down this whole fender with POR 15 because it's got a few runs and stuff in it, but we get 4, 5, 6 coats on there, and then we can block it out. I think it'll start to look good. Get some primer on this. I haven't primered that yet. So we're gonna go ahead and do a bunch of spraying down, and I got my fender flares over there, did a little more body work on them, and we're gonna get a couple more coats on those too. So here we go with the paint. Okay, I'm working on this other Firebird, and I've got this Dakota Digital gauge package, and I think I'm going to get it for our Firebird because it's really simple. It's all digital, and once you get everything into the bezel, one wire plugs into the controller, and it comes with all the sensors and the wires to go out to the sensors. And once you get this controller wired into all the little correct things, you just plug it in, and it's simple to take the instrument cluster in and out, and I really like it. I think it's not that much more than refurbishing all the original gauges, and they look original. So another thing I got is I got some brackets for the 400, and I'm gonna open these up and see if this stuff's gonna work. Okay, that one's the AC one. And it appears to have directions. And this one is supposed to be for the alternator power steering, and let's see, it's supposed to go somewhere like that. I'll have to look and see. Okay, I'm getting it figured out. We got this adjustment for the power steering pump, and this is where it slides back and forth. There's supposed to be another adjuster up here, alternator sits up here, but it's supposed to have 2" by 5/16 bolts, and they're only 1 3/4. It barely goes, a couple threads into the water pump housing. So I'm gonna have to go back to doing body work until I can get the right bolts, Even on their instructions there it says 2-inch, but ain't no 2-inch. That's for sure. Somebody threw in the wrong bolts in this kit, but I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the bodywork and we'll have to get some more bolts. Okay, well, I was checking out my accessory brackets. This package came in, and what it should be is hood hinges, because on this Trans Am, every time you close the hood, it ends up this way, that way. They kind of wobble. They're just so wore out. So I'm gonna get this opened up, and we're gonna have to swap the springs and see if it closes any better. Well, I shopped around, and Summit had the best price and the best shipping. So not sponsored by them or anything, I wish, but we'll see if this is going to line this hood any better, and hopefully I ordered the right ones. I've been known to order the wrong ones a few times, so we will see. And, okay, get stickers. Yep, they're both in there. And that appears to be the passenger side. And does look like the right one. So hopefully these are going to be a little sturdier than the wore out ones. All the rivets on the other ones are just so wore out. It's just wobbling and doesn't want to close right. So when I get some help getting this hood off, I'm going to get the old hinges off, and we're going to see if we can swap out the springs. Okay, this side come out pretty clean. There's a few little defects that I think we'll fill in with a little more primer. And of course there's this low spot where I knew it was going to be low. It's going to need a little bit more of the glazing compound there, a little bit over here. And on this side, well, it didn't come out quite so clean. There's all these little nicks and a few little low spots, and I think my paper was starting to lose its bite. Either that or I'm just getting tired. So I'm gonna have to put some more paper on there, and I think I'm gonna have to fill in a little bit here and see if some of this will block out some more. And I'm sure it's going to need a couple more coats of primer. So we'll keep going at it until we get it completely free of defects. Okay, I'm taking a little break from the block sanding to see if I can get these hood springs swapped out. And I'm going to see if my paint stick method is going to let this spring come loose. So, I'm gonna go ahead and see if this is gonna work. Okay, I've inserted all these little pieces of paint sticks in the down position, and when I lift it up, it should loosen the spring. So, let's see if it's loose enough to get it off. Aha! There we go. Yeah, it worked. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bolt the new hinge on and see if we can get this hooked onto it. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. Alright, that is so much straighter. Okay, I think this is going to work. Okay, got both springs swapped out and my hinges bolted on, and hopefully this will help the way the hood closes. More consistent, because the old hinges were so sloppy it would just close one way and you open it and close it again, it would just shift one way or the other. So once we get the hood back on, we're going to see just how these are going to work. So now I guess I got to get back to my block sanding and keep at it until we get it ready to put some primer sealer on this. Okay, I've been block sanding and more block sanding, and I keep finding little dings everywhere. Little ones there you would have never seen. We got some ripples here, and on the other side we got more. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little there, a little there, just here and there and everywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some more glazing compound on here and do more block sanding. Alright, after a lot of block sanding and filling in little spots, I think I'm ready for another coat of primer, and still have little spots. After as many layers of primer as I put on, you'd think it'd fill in, but it's still not. And we still got a couple low spots there. This has some really deep scratch marks from the 80 grit, so we need to fill that in. And down here we just keep patching little tiny holes. So we're gonna see if the primer is gonna fill in any of this. So I'm gonna spend probably the rest of the afternoon just putting layers and layers on. So here we go with the spray gun. It's about 3 hours later, and I just kept putting more and more coats on, waiting about 10-15 minutes in between, and we've got it pretty well covered. Few areas I hit a little bit thicker where I had some deep scratches and where I had a little bit of defects, but I'm gonna let this cure overnight, come in the morning and go ahead and block it out again. Alright, the primer is all cured up, and I used 80 grit to knock down some of the orange peel and fuzziness on the primer, and then I've got it down to 220. Found a few little spots, a few spots in the door here, Got this all blocked out, and I think I'm finally getting enough primer on there to fill in all the little defects. And I found a ding in the door here and over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those knocked down with the DA and see if we can't get that smoothed out. I'm wanting to fit my rear fender flares, but there's still a few little defects and it's a little bit rough on the primer oversprayed. So I found the best way to do it is to turn the DA down real low and just ease over it like so. You don't want to sand with the DA on a corner because it'll just eat it up. So just do a little hand sanding and see if we can work out some of these little pits and roughness, and maybe we'll get these looking halfway decent. Okay, that's looking pretty decent. Yeah, we'll go down to a finer grit, get it really smoothed out, and then we can try mounting them up on there. And I'm gonna have to fill in the body a little bit where it's uneven, where I put the quarter panel on. But finally getting that ready to put these on. Okay, I got this fender flare on. And when I took them off, they had a molding strip down them, and I got this edge trim molding. I just got to figure out how to get it to go around this sharp corner. Keeps wanting to pop off. I'll probably have to glue it, but I got it bolted down, and I got this screw here holding it, and two down here, and all we got is a tiny little bit of gap here. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that area, and we'll put a little filler in there and try to get some of this area down here cleaned up, and maybe spray some primer on it, and we'll see if we can get the front ones and the other one fit up too. Okay, I'm taking a little break from the block sanding, and I got some longer bolts and got these figured out, and it appears that they're lining up with the pulleys. Got this groove for the alternator, this one for the power steering, and there appears to be quite a bit of adjustment. I got these little heim joints with the adjusters, and so far that's looking good. Of course, we're gonna have to get a new power steering pump. It was kind of trashed. There's big dents in it right here from somebody prying against it, but with this adjuster right here, we'll be able to turn that like a jacking bolt and tighten the belt without prying against the side of the power steering pump. So now that I got that figured out, I think I pretty much got the AC brackets figured out. There's some shorter bolts that go right here to hold that bracket, and then these 3 bolts over here will hold that bracket up, and it's got a big old long adjuster. It'll go up to the AC pump and pivot it in and out. So I'm gonna see if I can get these brackets mounted on here and see if it's going to fit with the AC pump that I got. Okay, already 2 problems. This bolt is not long enough, and you can see the spacer, it's just hitting the threads there, so it ain't even gonna catch one thread. Also, the bracket hits this rib right here. That problem, I can grind that rib down just a little bit, maybe about a 1/16 of an inch, and spray another little bit of paint on there, but gonna have to find a longer bolt. Okay, we seem to have plenty of clearance now. It was hitting on that and kicking this way over like that. So for the time being, I just got that bolt set in there, even though it ain't long enough, and these 2 are long enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the compressor out of the box, see if it's gonna fit these brackets. Okay, I got this compressor off of eBay for like 89 bucks and free shipping. It might even work. I don't know. Maybe. But this groove does appear to line up with the groove down there for where the stock AC belt would go. Now this one does appear to line up here. The problem is this belt coming off of here going to here would completely miss this groove. So I don't know if I need to get a single pulley or just leave it alone, or we'll have to see. But it does appear that it's got quite a bit of adjustment, and this one will adjust up and that one, so far and so forth. But the cool thing about it is the stock compressor, you can't get to these 2 plugs down here without taking the compressor off. So with this one way up here, we'll be able to change our plugs a lot easier. Next thing I got to figure out is this bracket for the dipstick, and it almost appears that it'll line up with that bolt over there. I don't know, we'll have to see. Maybe a spacer or something, but yeah, that'll give it a little more stability. But so far that's what it looks like. And these brackets, eBay brackets, and I'm sure they're going to corrode. I'm kind of debating whether to paint them or not. If you look over here on this Trans Am, they got this Chevy motor in it, and you can see they're already corroded up. And I don't know, maybe I'll clear coat them. We'll have to see. But I like it. It's a lot prettier than the stock brackets. Of course, I'm going to keep all the stock brackets, stick them all in a box somewhere and store them away, just in case we ever sell the car and somebody wants it original. They'll have all the brackets. I got a new fan clutch. This one's wore out. I got to get my sandblaster working so I can sandblast the fan blades and then put the new fan clutch on there. But it's starting to come together. Okay, back to the bodywork. So I've got my edge trim on this fender flare over here on the driver's side, and got some screws ready and a drill. Now I made some gargantuan holes. This is the first one I put on, trying to get it to line up, but that's okay because I got some really thick, big washers, so it gives me a little adjustment. So we're gonna see if we can get this bolted on, screwed down, and then see where we're gonna need to body work this right here. Okay, I have got all 4 fender flares on, and these front ones, they seem to fit really good. They got like a little curve in right here, and the fender follows that curve and fit up here real nicely. The rear ones still got a little tiny bit of gap down here, Little bit here, not bad, but I'm gonna have to do a little bit of body work to get that fitting a little bit better. But when I was doing a little sanding here, trying to knock off some of this surface rust, I discovered that, well, my rust keeps going. So I might have to cut out more of this and see if we can get up in there and clean out that rust. Just this is the time to do it before I put the primer sealer on. So we're gonna do some more chopping, a little more welding. Okay, cut out a donor piece from an old trunk lid, and I'm gonna trace this out, and we'll chop out this rust section, and hopefully, if I can trace it right, the rust won't go into this area. But that right there is a major problem. Gonna have to open it up and look and see how bad it is. Okay, we're not too bad at all on the bottom layer. It's really solid metal. Got in there and cleaned it all out. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray a gob of the weld-through primer up in there and see if I can't get it up farther in. I'll probably use the internal frame spray on the inside of the trunk just to keep, you know, the rust from coming back. So let's just soak this down really good and get all the way up in there. Yeah, just, you know, slather it on really good. Okay, that's never gonna dry, but okay, well, we can always sand off the outside and see if we can't weld that in there once we get that to dry. Okay, I had a really ugly weld going on there, and then I realized it was pretty windy out here today and it was blowing away all my gas. So I turned the gas up and I think I salvaged it fairly good. We got a little bit of a low spot here, but it's better to be low than too high. I think we'll just put a little filler in there and blend it in, and that takes care of that rust spot. Okay, I got my patch all blocked out down to 220, and of course I could have just left it alone because the spoiler covers everything but that little bit there, but that wouldn't be right. Wanted to get it looking good. So it's about that time of week when we need to upload our content and start editing. So that's gonna be about it for this video, and we appreciate you all watching.